All right, Thomas, thanks a million for coming in to take time out.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Right, I mean, it's the end of a whirlwind year for you. I mean, but it's also, you've been, since you got back from Rio, I mean, you've been kind of, you know, doing a lot of media, late show, that kind of stuff, and you've been looking back on the year, and everyone's kind of generally and naturally and rightfully looking back and saying what a great year it's been. But I suppose before that, you know, there would have been a lot of frustrations for you, you know, a couple of weeks before the Olympics. You know, you were still weren't 100% sure if you were going to be right for Rio. So how do you kind of reflect on it there?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, to be honest, if I'd had a perfect year and training had gone well and my preparation had been perfect, I'd still be happy with 4th place in the Olympics. Like, it's crazy. But so to have come through such a frustrating year and do so well, it's insane. Like, I'm absolutely delighted. I'm kind of excited as well and hungry to see now what I can do in the next couple of years. Like, I've World Championships at the end of this summer, and then looking forward as well to 2020.
Sure, yeah, I remember speaking to you, I think it was the start of July, and it was still, you just come off the Europeans and you just run your first race in the National Championships, and you know, you're back and that was the main thing, but you weren't really sure in yourself. I think you changed your running mechanics as well.
Exactly.
You know, how did you kind of, something must have clicked for you in those 8 weeks.
Yeah, like, it was a struggle to get back because, well, once I did get back, it was a struggle to find my rhythm again because I had changed my technique and I had been out of running for so long. It took me a long time to try and find that kind of natural rhythm and, like you say, get it to click again. And it literally took up until probably the last maybe 3 or 4 sessions. Last session really before I actually went in, so 2 days prior to the heats, when things actually finally came together. But in those couple of weeks, like after the Europeans, like you were saying there, every session I did, every run I did, I was slowly getting better, little bits were coming together, right? So it literally just came together at the right time.
Like, looking back on it now, obviously not the most ideal preparation for Olympic Games. I know you had said at the time you wish you'd kind of been in the 2015 form that you've been in, but looking back on it now, do you kind of think, well, you know, a lot of things actually went right when you did come back?
Yeah, maybe like the break, the forced break was actually a blessing in disguise in that I was fresh going into it. I didn't race myself to death, and I was completely relaxed because I had no pressure on me because I was injured, so nobody was expecting anything of me. So once I got through the heats, I was in bonus territory.
Yeah. What were you kind of feeling like? I know you spent obviously time in Uberlandia and obviously that went well for you, but when you kind of got down to the Olympic Village and you were still probably a bit unsure in yourself of how it was going to go on the day? Yeah,
like, I suppose all that was going through my head was I want to enjoy the experience because, like, it was my first Olympics. I was going out there as pretty much just to make up numbers. So I was going to say, right, I'm going to get everything I can out of this Olympics and bring as much experience as I can then into the next one or into, you know, the next phase of competition. So, like, I really enjoyed the whole Uberlandia, the camp and everything like that. And I was just working away, doing what I could. There was no point getting frustrated over what had happened. I was kind of looking forward and thinking, right, what can I do, you know, in this time period that I have that's going to get me on track in the right time. And I was lucky that I was working with my physio and my coaches all the way through, and they were able to kind of keep me on track and in one piece. And then my coach designed a program to basically get me as fit as possible, as quick as possible, and as good over the hurdles as possible in that amount of time, and it just kind of paid off.
Like, I know you spoke about before you went to Rio that there was some difficult times during those injury layoffs. I mean, you were off for 11 weeks or something like that. I mean, and in an Olympic year, that's kind of hard to take, having, as you said, having been in such good form in 2015.
Yeah, it was extremely frustrating. Like, I remember it's a recurring hip injury that I have for the last 11 weeks, for anyone that doesn't know. And it lasted for 11 weeks this time. I've had the injury for about 3 years now. And this time, you know, usually it would settle itself within about a week or two, but this time it dragged on for like 11 weeks, and it kind of had transferred from my hip into another problem up into my groin or up into my abs and my psoas muscles, and we weren't really sure what was wrong, so it took a long time. And I think I was more frustrated with the fact that, you know, we weren't, you know, if I was getting progress it'd be great, but I was trying different things and trying my rehab and, you know, going through the motions as I would normally, and we still weren't getting anywhere, weren't getting any better. And I got to a point I said, there's nothing I can do. Like, my physio was working non-stop trying to find out what was going wrong, and, you know, I was like, okay, it's eventually going to come right. It can't last forever, like. But it was frustrating because that whole Rio Olympic dream and that I kind of built up from the year previous was starting to slip away.
Sure.
But
I mean, when you got there, it all, as we said, it all came together nicely.
Thank God.
Before you started, you kind of were saying that you hadn't really watched the final back too many times until you kind of got home and everyone's kind of watching and showing you. But we're going to have a look at it now. If you can kind of talk us through what you were maybe feeling. I mean, before the final, you'd said you were kind of, kind of feeling you'd run obviously the heats and then the semi, and it kind of taking a lot out of you, and you're kind of maybe feeling it in the legs a bit leading up to the final. Like, what was your kind of the feeling heading into that final? It was an early afternoon final.
Early afternoon. The one big thing that I was nervous about was whether or not I was going to be fit enough to get around the track a third time in 4 days after such a long time off with injury. But my overwhelming feeling was just I was relaxed, I was ready to enjoy the whole experience, and as soon as I got out onto the track, saw the support that I had, in the Irish flags built into the barriers around, it just washed away any nerves I had, and I thought, this is good, I'm going to enjoy this. And I was, because it's such a technical event, I went into it and I thought, anything can happen in this final. I could come away with 8th place, I could come away in first place. I was going for a medal. If someone else had a bad day, hit a hurdle, nerves got to them, pressure got to them, whatever, I didn't want any of that to get to me. I wanted to just go out as if it was any other race and do my best and see where it got me.
What was the kind of build up to it like? Because I mean, for people who weren't in Rio or weren't aware, like the Olympic Stadium was a good bit out from the Olympic Village. It was about a 35-40 minute journey. So like, how was the kind of that bus journey to the Olympic Stadium on that morning? I mean,
I was actually in good form. I was actually like buzzing. I was ready to go. I was kind of like, let me at him. I want to go, which is really strange for me. Usually I'm quite nervous to the point of like, looking for any excuse not to run, but obviously that's just nerves and butterflies. But no, this time I was excited, I was ready to go. Like, normally I find it hard to eat on the morning of a race, but I was just like, okay, I need to get this food into me because this is all I'm going to have until after the race, which was, in the afternoon. This was about 6 or 7 in the morning. And my legs were like underneath the table. I was, wanting to go. They were shaking, and I was kind of ready. But no, it was the build-up was pretty good. Like, there was not so much nervousness around it because, again, I was in bonus territory. I had no pressure on me.
Was it kind of something that you'd never really experienced in the build-up to a race before? That kind of morning, that atmosphere to it? Yeah,
it kind of was. A lot of the time, I've experienced more pressure, more nerves, but now I know like what works for me is to go into it relaxed, go into it excited, and to just enjoy it. So that's kind of the headspace that I want to get back into for every other race.
Okay, let's have a quick look at it now. What kind of, when you have been watching back and you've seen it back in full, what are kind of your overriding feelings?
But I definitely could have gotten third.
All right, sorry for bringing it up again.
No,
we'll have a watch.
Yeah, we'll watch it again. No, I get excited by it because.
I mean, obviously, as you said, like all the Irish tricolours around the stadium,
and you can see them there. And there was a big crew of them there, and on the home straight as well.
Like, how were you feeling now over the first kind of 200 metres? Did you felt you got
really
out
good?
of
Yeah, like it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to remember how the race went because when you're in that zone, your autopilot takes over. But
like here, you're kind of a bit behind, but you absolutely fire it down the home straight.
Yeah,
like,
the home straight.
Where did you get that? Where did you kind of muster that energy?
I have no idea. It's just kind of something that I have in me.
Yeah.
So close. When you look at it, look. That much is all it is. But sure, what harm? In one way, I'm kind of nearly glad I didn't get the medal because it's made me hungry now for next time.
Like, I mean, straight afterwards, you're kind of the RT cameras were stuck in front, and your good friend David Gillick was obviously on the microphone and stuff, and you were still, I'd imagine, running on high, and the adrenaline was still pumping at that stage, and you could kind of see it came across in the interview. But I suppose towards the end of it, you kind of said, look, when everything calms down, you maybe get home, back to family and friends, and you reflect on it all, then maybe you'll be able to fully appreciate the magnitude of the achievement. Have you kind of been able to do that?
It's slowly sinking in. It hasn't sunk in fully yet. It's like fourth in the Olympic Games, and I still just think like that nothing has changed. Yeah. And that I'm still like normal or whatever normal is. And I had no idea when I was out in Rio what I was coming home to until I actually came home. And it's crazy, the excitement, and that's what I love. Like, for me, whether or not I performed out there, I'm still going to be training. I still will be competing. I'm still going to be doing laps of the track, with 10 hurdles in the way. But it's great that, from that one race, people got so much excitement, or from those 2 or 3 races, however many, people got so much excitement and enjoyment out of it all. And that for me is really like one of the bonuses of sport. It's without the fans, it's nothing. So I think that's just really cool. Like people are actually interested in watching me run, which I never thought would ever be the case.
I suppose when you did eventually get home, then you kind of, as you said, you kind of realised how big it was back here.
Yeah.
And, I mean, your parents were out there in Rio, and your sister was on RT. I mean, and it was quite emotional for her. I mean, did that kind of sink in when you saw that back, and maybe you saw your parents for the first time over there? And
yeah, it still really didn't sink. Like, it's funny because for any of my races, like people would get excited and everything, and I was just rolling with the punches. Like I didn't really think. Jessie was getting very emotional on the TV, and I was just messing. Like the first thing I think I said to her when I saw her on the live television link was, "Have you stopped crying yet?" Rather than like, "Oh, that was brilliant," blah, blah, whatever. So that was just that was kind of just I just carried on as normal. I still kind of am really, but I'm just rolling with all the things that go with it, all the media and PR kind of
like you touched on it
obligations.
There, like has kind of life changed for you at all since Rio? Obviously you've got more media obligations and more interest in you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But do you feel that maybe as an athlete as well, you've kind of changed within yourself? There's a new confidence there.
There is definitely much more confidence there. Yeah, like I don't think I've changed much. I'm still like at training. I'm still the same immature fella, and my training group will vouch for that. I think. Like last night we were in the middle of the rain and I was throwing the water at some of my training partners. So in that respect I don't think I've changed, but what it has done is it's kind of given me the confidence in that what I have been doing and what I am doing is working. So it's given me a little bit more gauge in the fact that I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah, sure. I mean, those kind of days after Rio and when you kind of raced and you had a bit of time to yourself and to kind of savour the Olympic experience, how did you look back? And obviously your own personal performance was a huge highlight, but it would have been your first taste of an Olympic Games.
It was brilliant. Like I loved it. Like, and I was talking to Rob Heffernan afterwards, and he was saying, it was probably one of the worst Olympic experience he's had as regard logistics and everything else. So. But I still found it amazing. Like, it wasn't overwhelming, it wasn't, jaw-droppingly amazing or anything like that, but it was just really, really cool to be a part of that, like almost like an elite club.
Yeah.
But that was my overwhelming feeling. Like when people asked me when I came home, what was it like, and I just said it was just really cool.
Yeah.
And obviously exciting, like because I went out there not expecting to do anything and came home as one of the big stories of it. Yeah.
Like, I mean, straight after the race as well, that a lot of people, obviously delighted for you, fourth, and disappointed at the same time. I mean, that kind of bittersweet experience and conflicting emotions. I mean, was it tough to take off kind of the days afterwards where you're thinking, even watching it back there, you think you could have got a medal? Like, I mean, you're obviously naturally delighted with how it went, but kind of at the same time, you're thinking, what if, or 0.05 seconds.
Yeah, like I haven't really read into the what ifs because I'm just kind of like, look, fourth, 47.97 is territory that I never thought I'd ever be in. Yeah. So I'm actually happy with that, And as well, what it's done is it's given me the confidence or the hunger now. If I come off a bad year of injury and manage to get third place in the Olympics, I think I almost would have relaxed and said, sure, I barely need to train now, I'd be grand. Yeah. So what it's done is it's actually given me a hunger. Now I know that I'm in that ballpark. If I can train solidly for the year, what can I do then? Can I get up to that top spot? Yeah.
So. I'm not sure if you're completely aware of it kind of in the bubble in Rio, but in the immediate aftermath, the cynics were kind of saying, well, in a couple of years' time, the way athletics is going and doping and all that kind of stuff, you might be upgraded to a medal. Yeah. I mean, is that kind of something that, you kind of came across, and while it's, it'd be great for you if you did get upgraded, at the same time, it's paints a bad picture.
Well, look, it could happen with the way things have been lately, like with doping. I mean, you even saw like Rob Heffernan was awarded his bronze medal from London retrospectively, and there was a lot of questions around that because I was in his exact position, so I was down there for that, and a lot of media requests came through and questions came through about, do you feel like, when I was there watching, he was like, do you think that could be you? Yeah. And I said, no, I didn't really think about that at all, if it happens, it happens, if it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, I'm not, for me, I came fourth in the Olympics, and whether there was people ahead of me or behind me cheating, that's, there's nothing I can do about that. All I can do is wait and see, does anti-doping catch up with the doping kind of side of things.
So you kind of mentioned your training last night, and I'm sure every Olympian will kind of vouch you're straight back into it. I mean, Tokyo's a while away, but 2017 you've got World Athletics Championships in London is obviously big in the back of your mind at the moment.
That's the next big step, and it's great that like it's so close to home, and especially off like the back of last year. hoping to probably get a big Irish contingent and fans, and also like of athletes out there as well, so it should be good. A lot of people have already told me they've gotten tickets for the 400 metre hurdles final, so there's no pressure.
No pressure,
there. No pressure. But straight back in training. I took 5 weeks off, avoided as much about athletics as I could. I just needed to switch off.
Yeah.
I went out with my friends and just chilled out and went to electric picnic and had a bit of crack and all the rest of it. So now I'm fully back into training since October, and it's actually going really well so far, injury free, and training's kind of coming together nicely. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm heading away for 2 weeks to Tenerife on a warm weather training camp in January, because the weather is starting to get a little bit worse here at the moment, and we'll just kind of sharpen up a little bit out there and then come back to the winter slog here again.
You kind of touched on it there, that next time you do race and the big meet, which is going to be in London next summer, I mean, expectations are going to naturally be raised for you. It's because you've gone there and done it in Rio. I mean, do you kind of still go out with the same mentality of no one kind of expects me to do anything, and that's the way you kind of find yourself in that comfortable bubble? Or
I suppose I won't be going out there with that same mentality. I'll probably be going out there understanding and knowing that people expect things of me, but not letting that get to me as such. Trying to stay relaxed and just focus on one race at a time. Because if I let it, I did let it get to me in 2014 in the Zurich European Championships, and I crumbled underneath it. I thought, I actually went out. I bowed out in the semi-finals because I didn't focus fully on the race. I had injury problems. There were delays for the race and everything else. Not making excuses, but I wasn't focused fully on the race. I thought, I'm not feeling great, blah, blah, blah. I just didn't put myself in a position to get into the final where I thought I was going to be, I expected to be, and everyone expected me to come home with a medal. And I didn't even get to the final. So I don't want to leave myself in that situation again. So I've kind of learned from that you do have to take it race by race, especially the semi-final. Run the semi-final as if it's a final.
I mean, do you kind of consider Rio a kind of a coming of age for you, the fact that you now know, you kind of alluded to it there, that you know exactly what kind of mindset to get in, you know exactly how to be focused? I mean,
exactly. Again, it was a massive learning experience because I know, exactly where I need to be as regards mindset and mentality. And it's something that I've never even read into was the mental side of things. Up until the last maybe 2 or 3 years or so, I always thought it was just purely physical. But now I realise that the mental side of things, getting yourself ready mentally for the race is just as important as physically, really.
Sure. And you said you took a few weeks off and Christmas coming up. Any plans for the Christmas period?
I'll be going home for 2 or 3 days, and I'm actually taking a week off from training just to go for a snowboarding break in France. So the two don't really go hand in hand, but full-time training. Full-time training and everything, but no, I'll be careful out there, don't worry.
A couple of weeks ago I saw that you did a sleep bike in Waterford.
I did.
Charity work, and obviously that was something nice to do.
I was asked to do it by Focus Ireland. They approached me and said, look, would you mind, we know you're from Waterford, we're doing this big day to sleep out, would you be interested in getting involved? And something that I did want to get involved with was a bit of charity work this year, especially considering I have a bit of a name now, that people kind of know who I am, and it builds that profile. So I thought, what better time to do it than now, if I can raise a bit more awareness and a little bit extra funds for the charity than if I'd done it, say, last year or 2 years ago when people didn't really know who I was. So I was able to raise, I think I've raised so far about €1,400 for the cause, and the page is still live up on my Twitter or on everydayhero.ie if anyone wants to donate. But it was for to raise awareness and funds for homelessness. So I slept out as they would on cardboard and with a sleeping bag for 6 or 7 hours on Friday there a couple of weeks ago.
I'm sure that kind of put the perspective of running an Olympic final, the challenge of that in perspective.
It's crazy. That we'd look at our problems and think, fourth place in the Olympics, damn it. But there's people out there that don't even have a home to go to. It's crazy.
I suppose just finally before we finish up, just looking back as 2016 as a whole, rolling into 2017. I mean, you must look back with a huge sense of pride and satisfaction in the way it finished.
100%. It's probably the most frustrating and toughest year of my life, but also the most rewarding at the end of it. So it's been emotional, but it just kind of, the fact that I had such a struggle makes it all the more sweet that it actually turned out well.
I'm just finding I can't let you go without asking you about the bands. I know you spoke about them before.
Yes.
Is there a Rio edition in there after?
No, there actually isn't. There wasn't any Rio edition. And the other day, I was heartbroken. The one that I had for the longest amount of time, the first one I had on my wrist, I have it about 6.5 years, it broke in half and it fell off. I'm gutted.
Yeah, you'll have
It's
to
like I lost,
you'll have to
literally
ask
lost a
Santa
part
for
of
ones
me.
though.
I know, yeah.
It's a lucky charm now kind of thing. You can't really take them off.
Kind of like, I just like having them. They're kind of a little bit of like a trademark or like a kind of token piece. Like they're cool. And it's just a nice little collection, something that I have just gathered over the years.
Yeah. 2016, a great year for you. The challenges now is to kind of replicate and surpass that success in 2017.
Exactly, yeah. I've kind of set myself up there now as a target on the world stage. So really the challenge this year is making sure that I stay at that level and keep improving on that. Yeah. So
I wish you the best
fingers
of luck.
crossed.
Best of luck. Thanks a million for coming in.
Thank you very
Cheers.
much.
Thank
Cheers.
you.